Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I am bringing you guys the crocodile stitch. Now I know I've done this tutorial before, but the last time I did it, it was in the triangular form, and today I wanted to show you guys how to do it going in or working in rows. So without further ado, I just want to jump right into the tutorial. Alright, for today's video, what you're going to want to do is chain in multiples of 5 and then add an additional 1. So for my swatch, I had a total of 21 stitches. Right, for today's swatch, I am doing a total of 15 plus 1, so 16 stitches. And then once you have your chain going, what you're going to do is yarn over, and you are going to double crochet in the 4th chain from your hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over and place our hook in there and double crochet. Alright, and now that we have done that, what we're going to do is proceed to double crochet in each chain along this row. Alright, now that we have finished the end of our first row, what we're going to do is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And what we're going to do is work a little differently than we normally would. We're going to be working in post stitches. So what we're going to do is, or what I like to do is hold my row like this so it's easier to work around my posts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to double crochet right around this last double crochet we completed, just like that. And I'm going to make 3 more double crochets around this post for a total of 4. Alright, and once I've done my 3 additional double crochets, I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to look at this second double crochet right here, and I'm going to start working 4 double crochets around this post. And you can turn your work however it's most comfortable to work in. There's 2. There's 3. And then there's 4. Alright, and you can see that I already have my first little scale here for my crocodile stitch. Now what I'm going to do, or what I like to do rather, is I look at these next 2 stitches, and we're not going to necessarily work into them, but I do want to slip stitch into that second stitch over to kind of anchor down my crocodile stitch. And then what I can do is I can start working into that next set of 2. So I worked around those first 2 posts. Here are the next 2 that we're not going to work into, but then here are these that we are going to work into. So I'm just going to kind of space that out. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to make 4 double crochets around this double crochet post. Two. 3. And 4. Alright, now I'm going to chain my 2. 1, 2. And I'm going to work 4 double crochets around this next double crochet. Alright, and now I have my second scale. And what I'm going to do is, again, come over and I'm going to skip this next stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into the next one just to anchor that guy down. And then I'm going to come over to the next stitch and I am going to create my next scale. Three, 4, 'Alright, and then these next two, I'm going to slip stitch in that second one. Alright, and then we have 2 more stitches here, so I'm going to go ahead and work my last scale into these last 2 stitches of the row. And this could be a little fiddly when you're first working it out, so make sure you take your time with it so you don't get frustrated. Chain 2. And 4. Alright, now I have completed my first row. Alright, now to move on, what we're going to do is a setup row. So what we're going to want to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're just going to go right back down here into the base of this chain 3, or technically the top of that last double crochet that we made, and we are going to make a double crochet. So now we're starting our row with the equivalent of 2 double crochets because that chain counts as a stitch. Now I'm going to move over here to the space between the scale, and I'm going to double crochet 2 double crochets right into the center of it. 2. Right, just like that. Now we're going to come over here to where this slip stitch is. Now some people double crochet into the top of the slip stitch, some people go slightly beneath there. It depends on how tightly you did your stitches, but you're just going to go in there and you're going to place 2 double crochets there as well. Oops. Alright, now we're going to go between that next scale and create 2 double crochets. And And this is basically our pattern all the way across our second row. Alright, gonna work between that next petal. And then what we're going to do for symmetry, we're going to come all the way out here to the top of this chain 3 that was at the beginning of the previous row, and we're just going to make 2 double crochets in that third chain. Right, and this is what your work looks like now. Alright, so now what we're going to do is just start working directly into these double crochets. So we're going to chain 3, and again we are going to place an additional 3 double crochet around this first double crochet of our row. This is just one of those stitches where you end up turning your work all kinds of ways in order to hold it. Alright, now we're going to chain 2. We're going to come on to this other double crochet, and we are going to work from the bottom up to form the other side of our scale. Alright, I'm going to be skipping a stitch, slip stitching into the second one to anchor that down, and then we are going to work another scale around the next 2 double crochet posts. Chain 2, and we're going to work around that next post our 4 double crochet. So if you'll notice right now as you're working your stitches, this is going to be a pattern where these scales are offset from each other. So every other row you're going to have a couple extra scales on your row, and you'll be working between the ones from the previous row. So like down here we have 4, and up here we're probably going to have 5 or 6 scales that are positioned just slightly off center of these other ones, which makes it the pretty stitch that it is. Alright, and I'm going to continue across this row until I get to the end. So in order to move on, what we are going to do is we are going to chain 1, which I've already done, and we're going to slip stitch right in the center of this scale that we just made. And what is unique about this setup row is that we're just going to chain 1, 2, 3, and that's going to be the only stitch coming out of the center of this scale. What we're going to do next is work our 2 stitches on top of that slip stitch that comes after this. And this also helps to anchor down your scales. Alright, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and work 2 double crochets in that next scale. Alright, and then we're going to work our double crochets between the scales. And we're going to keep doing that until we get to the end of our row. Alright, and then for this last scale, what we're going to do, just for symmetry, we are going to put a double crochet in the top of that scale. And this is what our setup row looks like for our next row of scales. Now what you want to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're not going to be working around this first post this time. This time we are going to be working around these posts between the scales from the previous row. Like I said, this pattern has the scales offset, so you want to keep that up throughout your pattern. So we're just going to turn our work and start working our posts around that second double crochet of this row. Alright, chain 2. I'm turning my work so I can work it easier and see it better. There's 2. Three. And 4. Alright. And then we're looking at the back of our work. There's 1 double crochet. Here's the second one. We are going to slip stitch into that. And then we're going to start working around this next post between these scales. And that's basically our pattern for this row. Alright, chain in my 2, working up my other side now. Alright, now that we have done that, I'm just going to slip stitch into this last chain 3 of my row. And then to move on, what you would do is just what you did for the other setup row. You would chain your 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work, and then you would work a double crochet. This one's harder to see, but you would kind of work it down there in the top of that last double crochet you made. And then you would yarn over and you would double crochet kind of in that last double crochet that you made. And then you'd go about repeating that pattern going all the way across, and then you would start on your row where you'd have 5 scales instead of 4. I hope this video was helpful for you guys today. If so, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and let me know how I did down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check me out on my other social media. I'm on pretty much everything except for Snapchat. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on awesome weekly content like this. I post crochet tutorials every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. CST. And also don't forget to check out my Etsy store for patterns and hand makes. And until next time guys, happy making.